8th Congressional District. Congressman, welcome back.
Great to be on with you again.
Thank you. I'm so appreciative of your time. And there's a lot to dive into. I saw breaking news. The IRS put half of their workforce on furlough. And now I've never been able to get through to an actual human being at the IRS. One time, my husband and I called into the IRS with a question and stayed on hold for 4 hours and still never got through to a person. But half the workforce on furlough, should we be celebrating?
Well, this is what happens when the Democrats in the Senate continue to vote against America. They continue to vote against the government. We may not love the IRS, but the fact of the matter is, as you said, if you call the IRS, you want to talk to somebody, particularly about your taxes. But we can't do that when Democrats are shutting down the government because they want to go do $1.5 trillion of deficit spending and giveaways, including things like taxpayer funding to illegal immigrants.
Exactly. And I'm actually think it would be nice if the IRS was simplified, if our taxes were simplified to the point where when people call, there's always someone to answer. And I know it can be done because huge companies like Walmart, Wells Fargo, I mean, there is no company in the private sector that has hundreds of thousands or even millions of clients that doesn't have some form of customer service. Even Facebook, you can get a person to help you if you must. So, but this is the shutdown, and the implications are far-reaching. We already have a air traffic controller shortage, and this could become dire for flights being on time. Talk to us about the implications here and things we might not have thought of.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know my background. I spent 12 years in the Army, so I've been through shutdowns before where I was working for free. I was actually in a combat zone in the Middle East back in the build-up to the big shutdown in 2013. And as that crisis loomed, we started having trouble getting fuel. We had trouble getting parts, and we had the amount of flight hours that we could fly heavily restricted just because we couldn't get the logistical items that we needed to be able to operate in a combat zone, again, because of a shutdown. So the implications are huge and far-reaching. I'll give you another example, and unfortunately, this one it highlights just how crazy the Democrats in the Senate are behaving right now. In the military, law enforcement, lots of other careers, they say if somebody shows you who they are, believe them. Well, the Democrats have been showing us who they are for the past decade when it comes to critical functions like federal law enforcement and border security and immigrations and customs. I mean, we've literally had Democrats campaigning on defund the police, defund Border Patrol, defund ICE. They can't do that because they lost horribly in the last election. And so now when they're shutting down the government, even though sometimes they'll give lip service to, our federal law enforcement and Border Patrol might not get paid, I don't know that I believe that because they campaigned on defunding the police and defunding law enforcement for years building up to this.
They did, and I think they think we forgot. I mean, honestly, the way they behave, it's like they don't think we remember what they said last week or last year, and that's not true. We remember. We actually have access to YouTube. We can go watch them say it again and again. Thank you for your service. I love that you're pointing out that, obviously these shutdowns have happened in the past, but usually their duration is about 3 to 5 days. This one's stretching out, and Democrats actually think they're winning at the narrative here. Why do they think that?
I think this is a clear case of the tail wagging the dog. Again, the vast majority of Americans like law enforcement. They like safe communities. They understand the need for border security. They understand the need to get violent cartel members, criminals, gangbangers, drug dealers out of our communities. And unfortunately, right now, the Democrat Party is firmly in control of their far left flank, and so the ideologies that are dominating and are driving their decision-making are these absolutely crazy ideologies of defund the police, defund Border Patrol, open the borders, and give $200 billion taxpayer dollars to illegal immigrants for health care. And so when the Democrats just live in that echo chamber, yeah, of course, there's a bunch of folks on the far left that think they're winning, but the vast majority of Americans, rank and file Americans who just want to have safe communities, affordability, and be able to fly without worrying that the air traffic controller is working a double shift and not getting paid for it, this is not popular with the American people.
No, it isn't. But I think the warped nature of the Democrat Party, the way they think, the way they view the world, especially the way they view America, it was just something that was kind of like, oh, we have the squad, oh, we have the far left, oh, it's these are Bernie bros. But now it's spread throughout the party so that you have mainstream or what should be mainstream Democrats like the mayor of Chicago saying that his constituents don't mind the people who are there illegally. His that people in Chicago want everyone to have access to the same benefits. Well, Black Americans in Chicago don't want that. They want crime lowered. They want the National Guard to come in and root out the gangs. They want mass deportations. And he is so out of touch with them. And he's just one example. A lot of these big city mayors, big state governor, who is thought to be running for the presidency in 2028, Gavin Newsom, he's very out of touch with the people who live in his state.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm glad you brought up the mayor of Chicago. We just saw what happened there last week, where you had Border Patrol and other federal agents who were surrounded, rammed by protesters. By the way, ramming police officers, that can kill cops. We're not talking like tag football or something. This is potentially lethal force being used against federal law enforcement in Chicago who are just doing their job. When they call for backup, now you've got the mayor of Chicago and the program he runs where Chicago police aren't allowed to go back up federal law enforcement officers. And we're seeing that all around the country in Democrat-run cities and states. I mean, look at my area here in Colorado, where our Democrat governor, a Democrat mayor, or Democrat attorney general, they would rather personally sue and fire police officers who accidentally shared information with federal law enforcement than go after repeat violent felons or repeat violent criminals. We just had a repeat violent offender with a lengthy rap sheet who was forced to be released back into the community, and the local cops in my district picked him up a week and a half later with a gun that he wasn't supposed to have on a college campus. So you truly have a situation where the left is handcuffing cops and empowering the bad guys, and I think the shutdown is just another example of how Democrat senators, again, you got to have 60 votes to pass something through the Senate. Republicans have got 53 votes. We need 7 Democrat senators to join with us, and we can't find 7 Democrat senators that will stand with law enforcement, with community safety, with border security, with our veterans, with our air traffic controllers, because their party is so firmly in the grip of the radical left.
I mean, it's just unbelievable. And then there's the issue of, that they can try to wait out the Republicans, but the Republicans have absolutely zero reason to sit down with the Democrats on giving health care to illegal aliens or somehow undoing some of that signature legislation, the one big beautiful bill that Americans are so excited about. So this isn't like previous shutdowns or previous fights where the Democrats had a lot of leverage. They don't control the House. They don't control the Senate. They don't have the presidency. They don't even have a good political candidate to stand up to kind of say, this is our bench. Like it's a pathetic situation there. We actually had a discussion earlier this week on the show, Congressman, about the possibility of James Comey being the front runner for the Democrats because they have so few options right now.
I mean, some of their highest polling figures right now are people like AOC and, as you said, Gavin Newsom. And you only have to go look and see at how California is being run right now, and go see how AOC's parts of the world are being run right now, just to see how powerful the radical left has become in the Democrat Party. And that is not something that resonates with the vast majority of Americans who want to reward work, who want to have safe communities, who don't want to see $200 billion of taxpayer money going to illegal immigrants for health care.